Hey everybody, it's JP, the Xscapers Convergence Director, coming to you live for our Wednesday night virtual campfires. We do this about every week, but we're going to start doing it about every other week coming up. That's the big club news. But we try to do this pretty frequently just to stay in touch with everybody and let you know what's going on with the club. Tonight we've got a few special guests. I'm going to bring on first two of our families, and we got one more joining us later. First, I've got Erica Thomas. She is here, or there she is. Um, she is traveling with six kids and a husband who's out doing work right now in a fifth wheel, and we'll learn a lot more about them. And we got Jason and Karen Smith, who are joining us all the way from British Columbia in Canada, and they've got one 14-year-old daughter traveling with them in their fifth wheel. I've known Erica and Johnny and their family, and for what, 3 years now? I think we met about 3 years ago, and I met Jason and Karen about 2 years ago. I think at the annual bash that was the first time we met, right?
Yeah.
But they're all really active in escapees and Xscapers, and we're excited to have them here tonight. I know normally on these virtual campfires, Travis and Melanie are the host. They're off taking care of some stuff. Travis is rushed in to check out one of our parks, one of the Escapees RV parks that got hit by the hurricane last week. He's doing a little bit of help there, cleaning up. Nothing major happened, but he went out to check it out, and Melanie's taking care of their kids. So I stepped in to fill in tonight with the RVing with kids, and we're excited to have Erica and Johnny and Karen and Jason. So first, say hi, everybody.
Hi.
I said we're gonna talk a little bit one-on-one about kind of your story, how you got into RVing, and then we're gonna come back for a community discussion, just a little roundtable. And Sky Renfro is going to join us as well here in a little while. So we're all going to be together at the end to answer any questions and talk to people about the joys and trials of traveling with kids. But first, I'm going to say goodbye to Erica for a few minutes. Bye, Erica. And it's just us, guys. How are y'all?
We're good, thanks. Good.
So first, you're in British Columbia, right? Whereabouts?
Correct. Near Vancouver.
Near Vancouver. Awesome. And how long have you guys been on the road?
We've been on the road for 2 years now.
Are you working from the road, or did you take some time off work?
So we did in the beginning. We were off for about a year. And then this last year, I've been back to work. I'm self-employed. I do some consulting work.
Awesome. I think that's one of the biggest.
I was looking for work when COVID kind of hit, and that didn't kind of turn out well. So now I started my own business and starting to do development also on the road.
Oh, awesome. What kind of development?
Computer programming. So I'm writing apps for phones right now.
Oh, awesome. Great. Hey, the Ultimate RV Checklist. Check it out. I gotta get my plug in there for the app that I helped develop. So maybe we can work together on something, Jason.
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, that's always a question: is what do people do for work from the road? And we've got a developer. And what kind of consulting do you do, Karen?
It's for financial software.
Awesome. All right.
So I consult on just their financial statements and how to build it in the software.
Very cool. And are you in the original rig that you hit the road with 2 years ago?
Yes.
Yes, with no plans of ever changing, as long as our daughter lives with us.
Yeah, because you're in a fifth wheel. Right? You're in the fifth wheel? And
yes.
What was the main reason that you came up with that you decided to pick a fifth wheel?
Originally, we were going to be on the road for a year, and we started off looking much smaller and at travel trailers. But over just looking at them, we kind of wanted doors. We kind of wanted a separate bedroom, and it just kind of morphed over time to everybody was telling us fifth wheels are better to pull, and we were getting longer and longer as we started looking at what we wanted. So it just ended up into a fifth wheel, and that way Annalise could have her own bedroom. While we were taking a year off work, she was staying in school. We put her in an online school, so she was going to be doing schoolwork every day. needed a space to do that. And we just fell in with this model because it's got a really big living area in the center, which is something we wanted. We can all hang out in the living room. We have a big dining room area. And then she has her own room.
Awesome. And have you done any major changes to it since you got it?
A lot of changes. A lot of changes. We built it so we could go boondocking a lot. So we put in a good solar system, batteries. We replaced the fridge because we had an RV fridge, so we put in a residential fridge, skip a lot more food storage space. Yeah. We've changed a lot in her room, which I can show you a bit later. We pulled out some beds, built her a desk. We had to build a desk for Karen in the bedroom. The desk that we're sitting at right now, this is my desk. Yeah, we pulled out our fireplace as a place to put our shoes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Room for.
Awesome. All right. So we want to see your rig, and everybody's curious about how families live in such a small space. But one of the other questions that I think a lot of people have is about the internet. How do you connect? And with 3 people, I'm sure everybody wants to watch their own Netflix and their own channels, and does their different jobs and schoolwork. So how do you manage the internet?
So internet was always a big thing for us right from the beginning, and so we've had multiple plans. Our primary plan that we use is an AT&T international plan, which allows us to use it when we're in Canada. We've used it in Mexico. We traveled in Europe for a while. We used it over there. On top of that, because we spend 6 months in Canada and 6 months in the States, we have the Verizon prepaid unlimited plan. So that's our backup if we're in an area AT&T doesn't have it. We also have HughesNet satellite. That's like our worst case scenario if we're out boondocking, because we really enjoy boondocking. If we're out in the middle of nowhere, we'll set up the satellite. Actually, at Xscapers New Year's Eve parties, when the courtside has got no internet, we set up the satellite so that Karen could work because she was working over New Year's.
We actually used it in Mexico too for the convergence in the winter, and it worked. It worked well.
Wow.
And then on top of it, we have Verizon phones with hotspot capability. So you kind of have a plan with redundancy built into other plans.
That's what Chris and Shri always say. You wouldn't go parachuting with just one parachute. So you always have a backup and a backup. Or I just heard one the other day: if you've got one, you've got none. If you've got 2, then you've got 1. Yeah. Well, good. Yeah. So if you want to take us for a quick tour around your RV and show us kind of how you've made it family friendly and how you live in it, I think that'll answer a lot of questions for people.
Okay. I'm just going to switch to my phone so we can walk around instead of using my computer.
All right.
If you want to mute me or whatever on the computer one.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to remove you. So it's just me for a minute. I'm coming to you from my RV off the grid. Elena and I are boondocking in Texas, not too far south of Dallas. If anybody's around, come say hi. But we are on Lake Whitney boondocking. I'll go sideways, Jason.
Can you see me sideways?
You're kind of cutting. You're cutting. It's gone all fuzzy.
Oh, fuzzy. Let me just see.
Oh, we lost him. Anyway, Elena and I are boondocking on Lake Whitney from my RV, which is for sale if anybody's interested. I'm not getting off the road, but it is for sale. Let's see. Oh, something weird is happening.
Okay, I'm going to close this. I'll go back to the laptop, and we'll just carry the laptop around.
Okay. Well, we'll try that. They'll be back in just a second. But yeah, my RV boondocking ready for sale. If anybody's interested, let me know. Reach out. And Jason's going to take us for a tour, and then Sky is going to show us around, as well as Erica. And then at the end, we're all going to come together for just a little round table discussion. And there we go. We'll just come back for a round table discussion and answer any questions that you might have. Oh, there we go. All right. Let's see. All right, you've got the good picture now. probably a little awkward carrying the laptop around, but it looks good.
I'm going to try and watch it while we're filming here. So let's see if I can find it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so this is, I don't know if you can see where you're looking. Okay, so this is our area, which we really enjoy. So, you know, like for playing games, and we do eat here every night too. So, and then I really like this peninsula we have in the kitchen. We've added a few things. Just this for extra counter space.
And at least I have to help cooking, so none of us her to work in one side of the kitchen while one of us is on the other side.
We got this idea of another RVer, and we really like it. More for counter space.
One thing that was important to us for families, we've always done family dinners, so we wanted a real kitchen table. So when we were picking models, this was something we wanted. And also for family, we wanted the ability to all sit together. So if I can get it on the camera here, we had a love seat on this side, and there used to be a couch here that we pulled out. Instead, we put 2 chairs, and then we can move them anywhere we want in the living room, so we can have kind of like hang out, play cards in the middle, watch TV together. Go up there.
Do you want to?
Originally, if I can point it, so that's where our fireplace used to be. So we pulled that out just so we could use it for shoes, because we tend to carry a lot of shoes with us.
That's a lot of shoes.
Yeah. Right. Go into Annalise's room. I'll see if I can pull this.
Uh-oh, I think we lost your sound.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I do. I can't hear you. I think when you're talking to the side or the back of the computer, it cuts it out.
Okay, what about now? Can you hear me?
Yep, that's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Annalise. Yeah?
Yeah, sounds great. Keep going.
Okay. So there used to be a bed down below her bed that we pulled out, and instead we put a desk in her, so that's where she has her desk. And then we put some stairs over here. We took the drawers out, put it in there, so she could get up to her bed, and that's our working space. And this used to be a bunk bed house for 4 kids, so we actually pulled the bed out on this side too to give her more space and put a couch over here. So she's got quite a nice room all to herself.
That is a great little bedroom for a 14-year-old girl. I mean, any girl would love having a bedroom like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, she gets it all to herself. She's kind of lucky that way. Say hi.
Hello.
Hey, Annalise.
So I'll just flip around here. So this is the rest of our kitchen. We used to have an RV fridge, which basically no freezer space. So we replaced it with a residential just to give us the freezer on the bottom, fridge on top.
You want to go?
Do you want a complete rig tour? You want the complete rig tour?
If you want to show us the rest, if you've done anything different in there, especially.
You talk about this. There's a bathroom. We have a shower. We can't get the camera in big enough. But I did replace this. Having stuff into the wall. I built this just to give us a lot more space in here. I built it into the wall.
Nice.
I don't know if you can see it. And we did have a washing machine installed in the closet in there just so that we can do laundry. We tend to go through a lot of laundry.
I'm sure. Well,
that pretty much completes our rig tour.
That's really neat. It's a great design and great for a family. And you got two distinct rooms or 2 distinct ends for people to go to at the end of the day and have a little bit of privacy and a little bit of quiet.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks for the tour. Stick around. We'll get back to you in a few minutes and for our roundtable discussion at the end, and be thinking about some good tips for people who are thinking about getting on the road. So we'll come back to you in a minute. And now let's go to the Thomas family with Erica. Johnny is joining us in the chat, but he's not with you because he's out working, right?
Yeah, we're in Washington with the rig, and he's working in Wyoming.
What does he do?
For now. He does a lot of stuff. Right now, he's working an aircraft contract, but he also has his own RV repair business and does some other stuff on the side too.
You guys you hit the road how many years ago? Wow.
Almost 6 years ago.
You have one of the craziest, greatest stories. I mean, the amount of kids that you travel with in the RV is inspiring and also scary at some point. And since you hit the road, you've had a couple of kids one or two that have aged out of your RV and now doing their own thing, but you still have 6 with you on the road. Is that right?
Yeah, when we started almost 6 years ago, we had 7, and our oldest is now grown up, lives on his own. And so we have 6 left with us. One is about to turn 18, actually, so she probably won't be with us too much.
Is she going to get another rig and follow you around?
I think she would like to travel someday, but, probably not right away.
Are all the kids there standing by? Do you want to introduce them?
Yeah, so you guys are really lucky because you get to actually see what it's like to be in a rig with 6 children, because normally they would be out playing, but it is the Pacific Northwest and it is raining and it is miserable out. And so they're all in here with me. So let's see. I'm going to poke in and say hi. I have 3 right here. Hi. There's one next to me. There's a couple over here. Let's see if I can pan that. There's a couple there. The other ones are in other rooms.
So altogether, there's 8 of you in your RV, and you're on a 5th wheel, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The same one that you hit the road with 6 years ago?
Yeah. We've done so much to it. We've talked about getting a newer rig, but we've done so much to this one. We have talked ourselves out of it every time. We're like, all the stuff we'd have to do. So we just haven't done it. We're going to wait until it just falls apart.
Because you travel, you have a truck to pull the 5th wheel, and then you have a van that everybody else rides in when you're going down the road, right?
Yep. Johnny drives the truck and he tows the 5th wheel, and we have a 15-passenger van that we carry all the kids in.
And when everybody is inside and needing to do work or school, or is there enough spots for everybody, or how do you kind of organize when everybody is inside?
Well, as far as sleeping arrangements, one of my requirements when I bought this rig was that everybody had a place to sleep and nobody was on a couch or dinette, because I didn't want to have to worry about making that every day. So they each have their own personal space, their beds. And so, they spend quite a bit of time in there. We also have a large couch in the living room. So yeah, we can all fit in here really comfortably.
Very nice. Do you want to take us for a quick tour or spin us around and show us, or?
Yeah. Hold on. Take it off. Yeah. Okay. Well,
you've got a videographer. That's great.
This is the master. Yeah. That's what I had all these kids for. Master bedroom, pretty typical 5th wheel master bedroom in the front over the pin. We did a lot of renovations to the entire rig. We had a closet along this wall. We removed the whole closet and put in the cube storage. We had a dresser on this side, and JP, you'll love this one. We now have backpack storage in here. So we've got all of our backpacking stuff under there.
Nice.
And it has spilled over into all of the storage, containers over here. So this is all our backpacking stuff, our favorite hobby for our family.
Great.
That's about all we've done in here that's special. This is, of course, we have the ever so loved shower in our bedroom and the toilet room. And the only thing we've done in here is we added an industrial size toilet for our hands after using the restroom. So what else? Let's see. Our living room. You were talking about the Smiths and all their shoes. We have we might have them beat. I don't know, but these are all shoes. This is shoes in here. let's see. We replaced, this thing came with like a tiny little love seat. And so we now have a big L-shaped couch in it. There's some of the kids.
Just move the camera a little
so
bit
that's
slower.
probably the biggest thing we did on that side. A little bit slower. We have the L-shaped counter, which I could never live without having this much counter space, because I've been in rigs with less counter space and I'd never survive, not with our size family. We had a whole set of cabinets in this area here that we took all of them out, which some people might think we're crazy for doing that. But we didn't really need the space as much as we needed the light. So go that way. We have a big pantry. Right here is all food stuff. Pantry. Then we have, so this is where our boys sleep. Hey, Niles, can you? Okay, so we have the loft. And this is where our boys sleep. So we have one on this side and one on this side over here. So that's where the boys sleep. And then we have, this is really what everybody wants to see whenever we say we travel with 6 kids. This is the girls' room. So we have...
Oh, let's see. The signal's getting a little weak. Maybe got too far from the internet.
Custom built bunk beds. We had to custom that can close. And then they do close all the way. That one's giving me an issue, but the 2 little girls sleep on the top. They don't care about privacy right now. They kind of sleep with each other sometimes and bounce back and forth. So they don't have a divider, but and then we have the toy storage and on this side, which, yeah, most of this is toys. Some of it is clothes, but most of it is toys. We also have extra clothing storage down here on roll-out bins. Anything from clothes to toys to Xbox. And then somebody, I don't want to name names, maybe it was me, had the brilliant idea to buy the little girls a giant dollhouse for Christmas last year. So that takes up a lot of room. But yeah, I hate to admit that was me. Oh, and also, let me move this for a sec. So, now it's a toy hauler with the drop-down door in the back. But when we got this rig, it had like this flimsy, like plastic vinyl curtain here. And so you really couldn't use the back porch. So we built this whole wall in the door because it was literally like a vinyl curtain. So, you know, we'd open it and they'd play outside for 20 minutes and then we'd close it. So we built this wall with like a locking door and everything so that we can actually leave it down and they can have extra light and play with it, play on it. And I think that's pretty much it.
Well, thanks for the tour. That's a very creative use of space.
Yeah, well, we did have to get very creative with it to fit this many people in here.
I'm going to bring Jason and Karen back. Sky was here for a minute, and I don't know what happened to him. I saw him, and then he disappeared. But wait, there we go. All right, now we're all here. So, but between there's Sky. Oh, wait a second. There we go. Hey. This is like a little mini.
Those are the faces I am missing.
Sky, you doesn't look like you're in an RV tonight. Tell them what happened.
No, I am at my mother's house in Palm Springs. I had 4 tires, new tires. You all know the truck that I drive, Truckzilla. You know, that old 1992 diesel 5.9 that I love. So I went and had new shoes put on her, had her aligned and all kinds of other stuff. And then I went to do my usual blood donation. And on the way home, traveling at 55 miles an hour, my passenger side rear tire flew across the road. The axle shattered, the differential completely disintegrated. It was really ugly. Needless to say, I have nothing to tow with, and that's what I'm doing. I'm here doing all kinds of renovations and upgrades on the truck, so I can once again. I plan on 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I'll be heading to Texas.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I've put a whole new differential in and springs and leaf springs and coil springs and good Lord.
and Sky, the other families here, they travel in a fifth wheel. You're a bit different because you travel in a travel trailer pulled behind a truck, and you use the truck as a lot of your storage, right?
Correct. I have a tiny little 21 foot, if you count the hitch, 21 foot travel trailer, which is also a 1992, just like the truck. And I've had both of them for 20 years. And it's just me and the boy. I travel as a solo parent. I'm an underachiever, only one child. That's how we travel. And the back of the truck is actually a camper shell. A lot of people think it's actually a camper because it's got big barn doors on the back, but I affectionately call it my garage. It holds all the tools, the spare tires, sometimes the bikes, the camp chairs, the fire pit, because I have absolutely no storage in the trailer. So it all goes in the back of the truck. And it is kind of funny rolling into a campground now and then, and they want to charge me for two sleeping areas, and I have to walk out with them and open the doors and tell them, no, this is a garage.
They really try to do that, huh?
Sometimes they do, yeah, because it has a cab over part, so it looks like it potentially could be lived in. But you couldn't sleep in the cab over part unless you were only 8 inches thick.
I gotcha.
And that's not me.
How long have you been on the road, Sky?
Well, that's a really interesting question because I started traveling before I had the boy. My very first escapade was 1999 was my first escapade, and then I joined in 2000. So I'm coming up on 20 years with Xscapers. And when I traveled alone, I traveled in that truck with an actual cab over camper. And that was the early days. I mean, I'd have to say that I have been with Gage, with the boy, 15 years.
Wow.
But beyond that, on my own, probably another 4 or 5.
Oh, that's great. So now that we're all here, I want to have just a little discussion about the joys and the hardships of traveling with kids, and for all the people who might watch this later on, and want to know how to get into RVing, just kind of some tips and things. So the first thing I want to ask you about is school. How do you manage schooling on the road? And I know there's all kinds of different styles. So go ahead and tell us, Jason and Karen, if y'all want to start and just tell us about schooling from the road.
There's an online school in America called K-12. They actually have a division called Keystone, and they consider it their international division. But basically, it's for anybody who wants to do school online, but it's still led by a teacher, but you do it at your own pace. So she can have her classes whenever she wants. She doesn't have to sit into a set class schedule, but everything is marked by the teachers. If she needs help, she has a teacher. So that was the one that we went with because both of us have to work, that we wouldn't be able to teach her. And so she still gets teacher assistants, but she pays. So if we want to take an afternoon off,
we can do whatever we want. We can, when we go to the Xscapers events, we take the week off. She doesn't have to go to school. It gives us that flexibility.
Sure. Sky, Erica?
Yep, we do something like that as well. Gage is 100% online and then in the real world, because there's a lot of training, a lot of education, a lot of experiences on a day-to-day basis that you can't replicate on a computer. And we do a lot of what we like to call world schooling. We travel internationally as well. Last year we were in Indonesia. The year before that, India, Mexico. We were in Mexico earlier this year. We traveled the full length of Baja, and I guess we spent probably 2 months in Baja. And right now we should have been in Spain, but that didn't work out well. So we do a lot of course, RV travel, but we also do a lot of international travel. And when we do that, we generally try to hook up with other world schooling families. And in some of those areas, like in Mexico, there are actually established world school facilities that we will drop in and stay at a month or two or however long we're there. And all of Gage's online stuff, actually, we were very fortunate because the school district that we come from, which is Palm Springs Unified School District, has allowed us to remain in the school district with all of his learning online. All of his teachers are accessible to him. We have weekly meetings, Zoom meetings, or Facebook Live meetings, whichever works. But that way we have been able to avoid the California rules, which are stupid about homeschooling, by just maintaining our connection to the unified school district.
All right. Erica?
Well, we're domiciled in Texas that has some of the most lenient homeschooling laws. So we fortunately have a lot of flexibility. We mostly do what you would call unschooling, which is not using any formal curriculums, more like a world learning, like what Sky was talking about, and interest-led, whatever the kids might be interested in at that moment. And we just delve into that and research that and, throw in some, formal teaching methods that they don't realize are formal teaching methods, because they think they're just studying something that they love. And when kids study things they love, they don't mind writing and things like that. So we do occasionally dabble in some formal curriculum just to make sure that we have bases covered, so that if they do want to, say go to college, we don't push college, but if they want to go to college or do like a trade program or anything like that, that they will be able to do that they're not going to be, quote unquote behind. But mostly we just unschool, and it's amazing what kids will teach themselves without any pressure on them.
Yeah.
So
has anybody, or have any of you had your next or a location that you're headed to dictated by one of the child's interest or school programs? For instance, if for example, they say, oh, we're studying the Civil War. And you say, well, rather than study it, let's go to Pennsylvania and see where a battle was fought or something. Tell us an experience about that.
Yeah, we've done that with visits to certain reservations. We are part Native, and in our heritage, visiting and being a part of other Native cultures is really important. So we've participated in a lot of ceremony, a lot of sweat lodges, that kind of thing. And year before travels were dictated by which ceremonies were available in the places that we wanted to go to. And that was really amazing. That was very incredible because our tribe, our group, we're Swampy Cree, do things completely differently, of course, than plains folks do, or woodland folks do. So being able to experience what those people do inside their culture was amazing. We're going to do that same thing when we go to Spain. Part of what Gage wanted to do was to go to Spain to see the architecture. There's some pretty amazing architecture in Spain, and so that was the reason that we were going to go to Spain, and we still are when they'll let us in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one kid who's really interested in astronomy. So we make it a point to seek out observatories because it's one of his favorite things to do. So that's one example of catering to their interests. We have a kid who's interested in cryptozoology. And so we made it a point to go visit Marfa, Texas on one of our trips. And so, yeah, we really do. I love Civil War. So we went to the East Coast and I learned a lot about the Civil War because, you know, learning doesn't stop when you turn 18. So, and in turn, they all became very interested in the Civil War too, which they had never been interested from a book before, you know, but once we were actually at those locations, they became a lot more interested in that. Didn't mind watching all those boring Civil War documentaries with me anymore, you know?
Did you, Erica, did you guys actually get to see the lights of Marfa? I've gone 4 times. Yes. 4 times.
We got super lucky too, because I had read reviews from the past few days before we got there saying people hadn't seen them. And yeah, we did. And I'll admit it was really weird. I mean, I'm not so much into that stuff as, you know, our teenager is. We went for her, but I sat out there for a really long time going, what is that?
Well, I had the opposite effect. When I saw him, Sky, we sat out there for an hour looking at lights, and then somebody pulled up and said, oh yeah, that's the Marfa lights. We didn't know what, we just thought we were looking at lights in the distance.
You didn't know what you were looking at. I love it.
And I want to clarify one thing. I just looked at my own picture and I saw what looked like maybe that I have a pistol sitting out on the table in plain view. And I've got nothing against that, but I want to clarify that I wouldn't leave a gun sitting out on a table unless it was a bug gun. It's my bug assault. We had some flies in here, and this is the best way to get rid of flies.
I've never seen that.
It shoots salt. Kind of like a shotgun, but it shoots salt crystals, and I was exterminating flies earlier. Yeah. All right. So, did you guys, Jason, Karen, did y'all have anything to add about traveling to a specific place because of schooling or interest?
We haven't really gone out of our way to travel to a specific place. With Annalise's online school, we did just the core courses, though, so that she would have a little less workload, definitely less than she used to have. And we filled that with things that she wanted to do. So she's really big into art. She does a lot of art stuff every day. She wanted to get into gardening, so we bought her a hydroponic set for her bedroom, so she does some gardening. And we've been teaching her other life skills outside of the core. And then I would also add that, so I'm American, and Karen's Canadian, and Elise is Canadian. So we have to split back and forth. But as we've been going to the States more, Annalise knows nothing about American history. So we've now been using that as an opportunity to hit all the historical sites, because this was the first year she went into that Keystone School, which does teach all American stuff, and she didn't know anything about America. Uh-huh. So we've been using it as an opportunity to kind of ramp up her education quickly.
Awesome. All right. One thing I've always wondered about traveling with kids is, do the kids have any RV-specific chores? Like when you move to a new site, do the kids help with the setup and the breakdown? You know, what's their job on moving days?
So Annalise used to help a lot on moving day, but she doesn't as much anymore. She just does her room, but she has basically the same chores she had when she was in the house. She does dishes every day at lunch. She dusts once a week. I can't remember her list, but she has basically the same house chores that she did.
She usually helps with setup more when we arrive at a site. She'll like unstrap the chairs and and things like that. You know, like set up the kitchen and her room.
We're pretty anal about the tear down because we've had some issues on time that we kind of do a double eye check and we have a routine that we follow.
You should use a checklist. Erica, what about you guys?
Our kids do like, okay, I really don't want to sound like we just had children for labor reasons, but they do like most everything. They can do just about anything, all the way up to hookup. So it really just depends on what we need at the time. Some specific things they're in charge of is if we're boondocking in the winter and we're tilting panels, they're the ones who go up. Elizabeth and Niles usually are the ones who go up and tilt the panels and take them down when we move. They throw their hands in for everything. I mean, even Maddie can help do inside stuff, helping we have a lot of stuff out, unfortunately, that has to be strapped down or put away when we move, and they help with that. They don't really, other than the panels, because there's only a few kids I actually trust with the panels. I don't trust myself with the panels. But other than that, they don't have specific jobs. We just kind of bark orders. That sounds terrible, but that's what we do.
Well, I'm sure with 8 hands, it makes set up and break down pretty fast, I would think.
Yes, it can be, depending on if everybody's having a good day or if communication.
How much stuff you have spread out?
Huh?
How much stuff you have spread out?
Oh, there's that too. The longer you're in a place, right, you have the sprawl. Yeah. And so when we were sheltered in place in Arizona, oh, wow, the sprawl was bad. And Johnny did like a live video on our Facebook page. And I was like, why did you do that? It looked like our RV just like imploded. It was bad.
Sky, you got anything to add?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. I mean, we're so small and there's just 2 of us. Gage's job is pretty consistent, whether it's breakdown or setup. When we arrive someplace and I need to fit into a space, it's his job to jump out and guide me in. The disconnect is the checklist. He has the checklist for hooking up and disconnecting, and it's the same thing. It's going through the checklist. His biggest job is making sure that when we are hooked up, is to do a walk around, do the inspection. Are the windows closed? Is the spare tire still on the back of the trailer? Do the lights work? All of those things. He's the walk around to make sure that we're all good to go. And then again, like when we arrive, he guides me in and undoes the chains on the trailer and all of that. He doesn't do anything quite with the sewer yet. We're working on that this year, I think. I think we're gonna get him into the Stinky Slinky this year.
Awesome.
Oh, we don't touch that, actually. I'm without Johnny, and Rachel and Niles do all that. We're in a hookup site, but no sewer, just electric and water. And I just let them do it. Rachel drives now, so she can drive to the dump station. Niles and Elizabeth usually actually dump the tanks into our Blue Boy, so that's nice.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's just the 2 of us, and we're both guys. We don't fill up our black tank really very quickly. We can be out for about 3 weeks to a month before it becomes an issue. Nice. Yeah, before it becomes an issue. And I don't know what this is about washing dishes. What's this washing dishes concept? Don't you put the dishes in the campfire at the end of the night?
If you want to know, you can come visit Sky. I'll introduce you to the art of washing dishes.
I just picture Sky and Gage sitting around the campfire eating meat on the bone, and that's it. And throw the bones into the campfire.
We do, yeah, we do that. Yeah, we're pretty low maintenance when it comes to a lot of things. Yeah.
Well, then what do you need the whole garage for with all your toys and stuff?
because there's no place to put things in the trailer. Where would I put my camp chairs? Where would I put my
And your cans.
and my what? My can.
Your cans.
Yes. Yes. I am a little anal retentive about recycling. Yes. And I have a big trash can that I travel with, a big round trash barrel that I put outside the front of my trailer and let everybody know that if they can't figure out what to do with their aluminum cans, drop them off at my house. I will deal with it. I hate seeing aluminum, plastic, and trash cans. I hate it. So
that's one of the toughest things on the road is finding recycling.
I've been really lucky so far. I've been able to find places. So I've only had to carry, let's see, through New Mexico was the only state I actually had to carry my cans and plastic through. So I've been really fortunate.
What about meeting other families and kids on the road? I mean, you guys all knew each other through different methods. A lot of those are Xscaper events that you get to know people, but there was a time before Xscapers, and we're not having as many events right now with COVID, and we hope to get back to those very soon. But how do you keep in contact, and how do you meet other families on the road?
I met Erica in a parking lot.
Her kids are in the same room, Sky. Be careful.
No, really. I pulled into a casino parking lot and I saw her sticker on the back of her rig, and me being me, I immediately go out and knock on the door. It's like, hey. Scared the crap out of her kids, but
and then we that evening we propane campfired in the casino parking lot outside. Yeah. Yep. Because we're classy like that.
Yeah, because we're classy like that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, in all seriousness, there's, usually events is where we've met most of the families we have. Although I will say, I mean, some of our very best friends we met just happenstance like that at the casino or at a random tiny middle of nowhere RV park in Wyoming. And yeah, so it's really, we've been very fortunate to just bump into families. And I mean, when you travel with kids, your kids usually are very outgoing. You know, they see other kids, they want to go out there and they want to play with them. Yeah. So I find that kids, well, like kids, maybe not like teenagers. But I find that if they see kids, they're going to run out and play with them. I think they definitely meet people easier than we do. And some of the people we've met was because our kids met. And then it was like, oh, I should probably meet your parents. So...
We're all kind of shy in this household. If it wasn't for events, we probably wouldn't know anybody. We go to events and we force ourselves into it, and that's how we've met people.
Well, we've met other RV families through Instagram too.
Yeah, Instagram's been helpful.
Yeah, but other than that, it's been mainly events. Yeah. What's that?
RV groups, family-focused RV groups, asking if people are in certain areas. Whether we know them or not, people are willing to meet up. Well, you know, pre-2020, people were very willing to just meet up with other people. A little harder now, but yeah, we do. We post in groups and say we're going to be in this general area. Is anybody there? And we've met with people that way.
Huh.
Once we make friends, a lot families tend to travel together too. So, I mean, we have families that we every year spend a good amount of time traveling with too. So that's a thing.
When Gage and I were in Bali last fall, we ran into two other RV families that we had been talking to online but had never met. And of all places, we meet each other in Bali, where of course there are no RVs.
And did you find them on Instagram or through RV groups, and you just knew that they were in Bali as well?
No, we actually connected with them once we got to the event. We were at a world schooling event in Bali that was a week-long program. And once we got there and we started participating in the presentations and that kind of thing, people would say what their names were, or they'd say what their background was, what kind of traveling they do. And the couple right behind me, who I had never met, I didn't know what they looked like, when they said what their RV name was, what their traveling name was, I whipped around and I went, "Oh my God."
Oh, that's really cool. I almost want to have a kid just to do this world school thing.
Well, you know what? I think we, at least two of us, have teenagers that we'd be happy to share with.
Well, you couldn't hear it, but as soon as I said that, Elena yelled from the back, "No, thank you."
Okay, well, you know what? JP, our 8-year-old, loves you. We can just lend her to you anytime.
Well, you know, I do have a dog that I let some of the teens walk, and I think Annalise has walked Fido for me before too, hadn't she?
I don't know. Anyway.
No.
Oh, sorry. I thought she had. Oh, do the kids ever? Do the kids compare life to in an RV to life in a sticks and bricks? Do you often hear, "Well, I wouldn't have to do this if we were in a house," or "I missed this," or how do they compare it?
Annalise just doesn't want to go back to it. And especially school. She never wants to go back to a sticks and bricks school. But house-wise, yeah, she likes the change of scenery. She really likes to move. If we're somewhere too long, compares it to being in a house. If we're in a house again, and she's like, "We need to go somewhere. It's time to move on."
We call that hitch itch, but I didn't know you could catch it at such a young age.
I don't really think there's any of our children that don't like our lifestyle. I know we have a couple of kids that, you know, if you ask them, probably won't, you know, live in an RV and travel when they're grown-ups, but they do all enjoy it now. And I don't think that any of them would actually want to go back to a sticks and bricks house now, and definitely not like a public school. I mean,
yeah, that's the major source of complaint with my boy now is like, when are we leaving? I can't stay here anymore. I have to see my friends. Can we go now? Yeah, he's not a fan of sticks and bricks. He wants to be on the go. He wants to see Niles and Evan, you know, mostly to play video games, I think. But, you know, who knows?
Probably.
But, yeah, he much prefers to be able to go because there's so many things that we do together when we're moving that we don't do now that we've all been sort of locked down. Any of the museums or the aquariums or any of the things that we love to go to have been inaccessible. So when we travel, we manage to at least hike and geocache, and, you know, the kids can play together and invent their own games and build forts. And my boy definitely is not a sticks and bricks lover at all.
Well, I know some of the kids are there. Do the kids have anything they want to add about traveling in an RV?
You want to say anything, Elise?
Annalise, come be on video.
Yeah, come here. Come say hi, Elise.
Nice.
I had one kid run away.
Yeah, Annalise wanted to, but I forced her. Come say hi. Come say hi.
Oh, wait, Elizabeth has to say hi if Annalise is on there. Annalise and Elizabeth are very, very good friends. They love each other.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you're not too far distance-wise, but you got a Canadian an international border that's closed right now to keep you separated, which is sad.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's more painful to be an hour apart and not be able to see each other than to be across the country from each other.
Right.
It is.
Right.
To the kids, what's your favorite part about living in an RV?
Going places.
Yeah, traveling probably. I'd love to travel more to international places. I really want to go to Mexico, but yeah, traveling is definitely the best part of it.
We were supposed to go to Mexico for 3 months this year. We were going to go mainland far down south.
Wow.
But due to COVID, we had to cancel it. The group of families we're all going with. And so yeah, Annalise has been practicing her Spanish, another one of her free activities she uses. So, yeah.
Well, come join us. We're going to the Yucatan.
Nice.
Erica, any of your kids want to tell us what their favorite part of RVing is? That was quick.
Here, we've got one who's willing to speak. What's your favorite part?
Going places.
Going places?
Yeah.
Just any places or?
My favorite is my favorite.
Talk louder.
Like my favorite thing to do is just like
Oh.
national parks and stuff.
They actually love tent camping, so I think they'd probably say that anywhere where they can pop a tent is probably their favorite place.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Oh, and look, we got a Gage on the camera. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Gage, what's your favorite part about living in an RV?
Well, you get to actually explore because some kids don't get to get in an RV and travel the world.
So exploring, huh?
Exploring, yeah.
All right. Well, does anybody else have anything they want to add? Any suggestions or ideas for people who are thinking about getting into RVing with families?
You got to join the organizations.
Yeah,
just do it. Try it. The worst that can happen if you try it and you hate it is you go back to a house. I mean, you should try it, definitely. We've met way more people that have fallen in love with it than people that hated it. We've met almost very, very few people.
Right.
And I could tell you why they hate it. That's different.
Right. One of the couples that we met in Bali have a kid about Gage's age, and they became fast friends. We've been in constant contact with them. They just bought their first RV, and they are going to launch next week. So I would say for anybody who wants to do this, absolutely, just do it, but be patient. Don't expect it to be perfect. Don't expect it to be without trials and tribulations, especially if you've done very, very little traveling in close quarters with your spouse or your kids. Just be patient. Realize that the trailer that you're in or the fifth wheel that you're in is the place where you sleep and sometimes cook and sometimes pee. But beyond that, the world is where you live. Outside that door is your living room, is your entertainment, is your exploration. That's really what it gives you. And just to be patient with yourselves and with each other.
And there's ebbs and flows with it too. I mean, not only be patient at the beginning, but you will have times where things are great. You can't imagine doing anything else. And then you'll have times where you're like, why am I doing this to myself?
What was I thinking?
Well, great. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us tonight and showing us your rigs and a little piece of your world. And I look forward to when we can all get back together. We're actively planning and trying to get convergences back on the books as soon as we can. And, I would like to say it's going to be right around the corner, but as soon as it's safe for us all to get back together, we will. We're monitoring the situation, and we want to do it as much as you guys do, get the kiddos back together and the families. And
yeah, I have to plug Nomadic Families for that too. I how did I forget to plug Nomadic Families?
Right.
It's an Xscapers BOF. And speaking of all that, getting back together and events and such, if you're out there on the road or going to be, join Nomadic Families BOF. And we will be having some low-key gatherings this winter in the Southwest. So sorry to interrupt you, JP, but I had to throw that in there.
No, that's great. And for people who are joining us and don't really know, Xscapers is the parent organization. And then under that is Xscapers, which is for working age RVers. And a lot of families fall into that category. And then within the Xscapers organization, there's also Birds of a Feather. And Erica and Sky are heading up one of the Birds of a Feather, the BOFs, that's for nomadic families. And you guys do a lot of get-togethers and boondocking events as well. So join Xscapers, follow the email, or join the email list and the Facebook pages that we operate, which you're watching this on now, most likely. And yeah, we'll all get back together. And Sky, I'm in Texas, so if you head out this way in a couple of weeks, hit me up and we'll have a socially distanced whiskey around the campfire somewhere.
Excellent. I plan to spend all of November and probably a little bit of December close to headquarters.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and thanks for everybody to tuning in, and we'll see you next Wednesday for another virtual campfire.
Thanks for hosting this, JP. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.